If you own an Airbnb right now, you know that this is true. That property, let's say it brings in $7,000 in a month, and somehow by the end of the month, there are $7,000 worth of things that need to be repaired or replaced, upgraded, refreshed, or otherwise improved. And the dangerous part is none of those expenses sound crazy. Every single one of them, it sounds justified. The couch is wearing out. The light fixture needs to be replaced. The pool table could be nicer. The cleaner noticed something. The property manager saw something that needed to be changed. A guest made a comment in their review and the world is falling down, and all of a sudden your Airbnb is asking for every single dollar that it earned back. So if you don't watch the rest of this video, the key thing to take away is that real estate will consume infinite capital if you let it, especially short-term rentals. There's always going to be another repair or another upgrade, and operators right now, here's what they're missing. Your Airbnb, it can be fully booked. You can have high ratings, excellent reviews. You can be busy every single weekend, and you can still make no money because the revenue that it generates, that's not profit in and of itself. Occupancy rates are not profit in and of themselves. Good reviews are not profit. Profit only exists if you as the owner protect it. Speaking from personal experience, the biggest trap with Airbnb is that every single party, every third party who walks through that home, they'll have a different opinion. The inspector has a list of items that he says should be corrected and repaired, and the cleaner has a certain set of materials and that are needed and items to be repaired. And then your contractor says, you know what, we can replace this, and we can do this, and it'll only cost you $3,500. And then the first property manager who you have come through, they have their own punch list of items that are going to increase occupancy and increase your ADR. And then you get it quoted by a second property manager, and they have a different punch list. And all of them by themselves, they're all well intentioned, and they're probably all trying to help you as the owner maintain the asset and offer a great guest experience and improve your financials, but they're not responsible for your cash on cash return. They're not the one who is responsible for making sure that this thing that you put so much energy and effort and stress into, they're not the ones responsible for making sure that a profit is generated on a month over month basis. They're not the one who's writing the check. They're not measuring and whether this property is actually performing the intended need. That's you. That's your responsibility as the owner, as the operator. Don't let other people into your purse unnecessarily and without really vetting that expense. So before you approve any expense, any capital expenditure at your property, you have to ask 4 main questions. First, does this improve guest safety? Does this improve guest satisfaction? Does this improve my average daily rate? And then finally, does this improve occupancy? And that's the filter. Safety, satisfaction, average daily rate or ADR, and then occupancy. If the expense does not clearly, and I mean like clearly, you can write like a thesis about why this expense, if that expense does not clearly connect one of those 4 things, you can table it. Put it on the back burner, use the Warren Buffett method of adding it to your yellow pad. Don't approve it immediately, put it in a Google Doc somewhere, and then revisit it in 30 days. Because what you'll find is it's amazing how many urgent, you need to get it done now expenses disappear after that 30-day window. The next guest checks in and says nothing. Another vendor walks through and they say it's absolutely fine. And then the next manager who you have come through to quote for property management, they don't even mention this item that was supposed to cost $4,500 to replace or repair. And the thing that felt so urgent to you on Monday is now irrelevant and not even a point of conversation 2 weeks later. So practical, like real world example from about 30 seconds ago, which is why I'm recording this video. Let's say a property manager says, you know what, we have to replace this pool table. You as the operator, as a professional operator, you have to say, okay, that sounds fair, but maybe, and why? Can you just say more? Is the current pool table unsafe to use? Are we getting guest complaints? Did it show up in the reviews multiple times? Are we going to be able to charge more per night? Is this new pool table that's going to cost me $3,000? Is it going to increase the number of nights that are booked? How will we be materially better because of this $3,000 expense, which by and large for most Airbnbs is going to be like 3 months of profit? So if the answer is no, or they can't make a compelling case, then you don't have a business reason to replace it. You just have an opinion. And opinions, lots of opinions, get expensive very, very, very fast. So you as the operator. You're not running a museum. You're not trying to create the absolute perfect house. You are running a business. And businesses do not naturally produce profits. Businesses consume capital. They consume every available dollar unless the owner, the owner, forces discipline. That's your job. Your job is not to say yes to everything that would make the property better, because everything can be better. Literally 100% of the things can be better. The question is not, can this property be improved? Because the answer is always going to be yes. The answer, or the question, is, will this improvement produce a return? If it will, consider it. If it impacts safety, then of course you'll fix it. If it's hurting the reviews, then of course you're going to fix it. If it's clearly improving your average daily rate, or it's clearly improving your occupancy, then definitely go ahead and implement. But if it's just a nice to have, or it hasn't been proven, or it hasn't shown up multiple times, you are 100% okay, and I give you permission to table that expense. And this exact conversation is why so many Airbnb owners end up wanting to sell after the first 6 months of ownership. They say, this property just doesn't work, I'm barely breaking even. But then when you look under the hood, the property might be perfectly fine. The revenue's there, the occupancy is there, the reviews are piling up week over week. The problem that they're running into is that every single dollar that came in went right back out, because they paid for new furniture when new furniture wasn't needed, or certain repairs that weren't urgent or weren't even needed to begin with. They never showed up anywhere on any kind of complaint. They're fixing imaginary problems. So, and then by the end of that 6-month period, there's no cash flow. They look at their P&L and it's like, this thing is just chewing up dollars because you allowed it. Not because the property was failing materially, but because you, as the owner, who's not coming to me and asking me to sell this or get it off your hands, had no filter for capital allocation. So if you own an Airbnb, remember this: your property will try to spend every single dollar that it makes. Your job is to not let it, basically. You have to protect guest safety, protect guest satisfaction. You have to protect your average daily rate, and you have to protect occupancy. And before you spend money, you have to force the expense to prove itself to you as the owner. Not to the property management company, not to your buddy who's a contractor, not to your cleaner, but to you as the business owner. Because your Airbnb, it does not need this unlimited capital infusion every single month. What it really needs, in order to prove profitability, assuming the fundamentals are in place, it's safe, you have good guest satisfaction, you have your target ADR and your occupancy, what it really needs at that point is just a disciplined owner.